This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, thank you, Terry, for hitting the record button. And welcome, everyone. We will be starting shortly. Okay, so it is 7 p.m. and I'm going to call this meeting to order. I would ask at this point if there are any additions to the agenda. Councillor Point?
One addition, please. Accessibility Committee, please.
Thank you, Councillor Coyne. Any other additions this evening? Okay, hearing no other additions, other than the one addition, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the one addition.
Motion moved.
Do we have a seconder?
Seconded, Your Worship.
Okay, seconded by Councillor McDougall. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the agenda is approved with the one addition. Thank you. So we do have one gallery presentation this evening, and I'm just going to quickly check our guest list to see if we have Terry Smith with us. Terry, Terry Doyle, do you see Terry Smith with us yet?
No, I don't.
Oh, he just was added. Hi, Terry Smith.
Okay, good.
You have a lovely number of Terrys here this evening.
Yeah.
So this evening we do have a gallery presentation from the Destination Cape Breton Association, and Terry Smith is with us this evening. Terry, if you're able to turn your camera on, we're happy to give you the floor for your presentation.
Okay, great.
Welcome.
Well, thank you. Now, do I know you guys? I guess control this, do you, or do I? Oh, it says Terry Doyle is presenting.
So Terry, I can share if you want. Just give me a second.
Sure.
I love your introductory photo, Terry. We know where that's at.
You should have notice now, Terry.
It's telling me to open my. Oh, sorry. Just one second. Technology. Well, Terry, I think you're gonna have to be my clicker. Saying I would have to restart in order to do it. Okay, well, we can start from there. Hearing an awful lot of noise on my end. I don't know if everyone else is hearing that. Okay, gone down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for allowing me to present to you. I'm going to speak mainly about our new strategy, a 10-year strategy that we are releasing this evening, and to give you a little bit of the highlights of that. In an ideal world, that would have been launched by now, but COVID had other plans for us. So it will be launched soon, and we'll be sending all of the council members a copy as soon as it's ready. But we'll give you an overview this evening. So Terry, you can go ahead to the next. So I just wanted to give you a sense of some of the growth that we saw in the past decade leading up to the pandemic. This slide shows you 4 different charts, and if we start in the upper left-hand corner, you see room nights sold in 2019 compared to 2009. There were 110,000 more room nights sold, which is significant. Visitation to Cape Breton Highlands National Park up 108,000. For the Port of Sydney, growth in cruise up over 100,000. The economic impact of Celtic Colors was more than triple over that period. So we saw tremendous growth, and what that was leading to was new private sector investment, and we really had some good momentum, recognized as the #1 island in North America. So everything was heading in a really positive direction, and then the pandemic hit. But before I get to that, just to show you in terms of our growth relative to the rest of the province, this is just a chart we can show that gives a sense of the relative growth based on incremental room nights sold using 2011 as a baseline. I say 2011, we use that as a baseline because that's the last year before the marketing levy was put in place. But you can see since the marketing levy and federal funding that we received from Enterprise Cape Breton First and now ACOA, our growth incrementally has more than doubled that of the province overall. So Cape Breton was doing really well. But we didn't want to rest on our laurels, and you can go to the next one, Terry. So we launched a strategy process. We actually started this in 2019 prior to the pandemic, and we're originally planning to release it around this time last year, but as a result of the pandemic, we put that on hold until we had a clearer picture of what the future was going to look like, the immediate future. But we're ready now, so we will be releasing this within the next month publicly. And we call it Rise Again 2030, our destination development strategy. So I want to just go through and give you a highlight of some of the key themes within the strategy. One is going to be care for community. And when I say care for community, what we want to do is ensure that as we grow as an industry, that we are growing in a way that it enhances the quality of life for residents and does not have a negative impact. There are some other destinations around the world that have seen unbridled growth of tourism have a negative impact because there's been over tourism and it's caused many issues. So we need to grow, but we need to grow in a managed and responsible way and keep our residents first and foremost. Next. We also need to grow to be a year-round tourism season, 365 days. This isn't an issue for Port Hawkesbury or most of the CBRM, but much of our island's tourism industry is seasonal. So we want to work and look at things we can do to grow our shoulder seasons and also grow winter tourism. And next. We also want to be sustainable. And when we talk about sustainability, oftentimes our minds go to environmental issues, and that certainly is part of it. But there's also cultural, societal sustainability and economic. All 4 will be important. So we'll be developing with some partners a sustainability plan for the island, and we hope to have our industry achieve a green destination status. We also are focused on growing with a cluster-based approach. So I show this is a photo of Celtic Colors from, I believe that was the Chieftains when they played at the Civic Center a number of years ago. But Celtic Colors, a few years ago, they recognized the need for a planning software that would help them streamline and make them more efficient in their operations. From that, a local company was hired to develop that custom software. It's called Mercado. they ended up then using that software, selling it to festivals around the world. And that's just one example of how a cluster can be used, where we can create new economic activity based on things that are already happening in our tourism industry and leverage the growth of the industry. Another one is digitally driven. So we want to become a smart destination as well. With the growth of high-speed internet around the island over the next couple of years, we see that that's going to provide us new opportunities to look at ways that we can be innovative in using technologies in visitor experiences, or to look at ways we can enhance the digital usage of our industry overall. And we've got a few projects that are already in the pipeline along those lines. And next. So that's just some of the key themes within the strategy, but when we get to strategic objectives and actions within the strategy, they are organized into 6 game changers. So game changers are areas where we see that there is opportunity for growth within the tourism industry. So 3 of those would be 3 product clusters that we have here on the island. That would include cultural tourism, adventure tourism, and culinary tourism. And then also events where there is potential for the town of Port Hawkesbury for sure, and marine tourism. If you look at coastal Cape Breton and the Bredora Lake, we've got tremendous assets there for boating, for attracting super yachts and so forth. So that's an area that we will be focusing on. And then I mentioned cluster development. So there's 6 game changers in terms of growth. And then we have 6 supporting themes in terms of areas where we need to place an emphasis in order to support the growth. They may not necessarily be growth areas, but they are necessary to support responsible and managed growth. So those 6 supporting themes would be continued focus on experience development. That's something that we do on a regular basis along with Tourism Nova Scotia usually. Sustainable tourism, I mentioned that. Strengthening our tourism business climate. There's a tourism guru named Roger Brooks, and one of the things that he says is that 70% of non-accommodation spending in a destination happens after 6 p.m. on things like retail, dining, and entertainment. And in many of our downtowns around the island, a lot of our retail is closing up shop around 6 o'clock. So we need a bit of a culture shift, and we need to look at ways we can change that around and really make sure that our visitors are leaving every possible dollar on the island while they're here and not letting them take any money home in their wallets. Achieving excellence in visitor experience. So part of that, for example, is the gateway strategy that the mayor has been a strong leader on, and we're in discussions right now in terms of looking at enhancing or reimagining the gateway at the Canso Causeway as just one example. But overall, we have to look at ways that we can on an ongoing basis look at improving and enhancing the visitor experience. Skilled workforce, so focusing on attracting, retaining, and training our tourism workforce is going to be key as we go forward. We have had some labor shortages pre-pandemic, and they're likely to return as soon as we get beyond COVID. And then finally, there are a couple of objectives related to our organization in terms of some things we need to do to evolve to respond to this plan and the needs of this plan. And I just wanted to say as well that the plan was developed in consultation with a number of partners that would have included municipal representatives, would have included federal partners at ACOA and Parks Canada, some of our partners within the provincial government in a number of different departments, our Indigenous partners, and the Cape Breton Partnership, and our educational institutions, Cape Breton University and NSCC, both folks at both campuses. So I can take questions in a moment, but before then, so that was just a quick overview of what the 10-year strategy will be. But as I mentioned, we'll be providing copies to all of you shortly, and you can feel free to reach out at any time once you get a chance to review and digest the full plan. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a glimpse into what the 2021 season is looking like. We are going to see, as now with the reopening plan was announced on Friday, a gradual reopening through June that will be similar probably to what we had last June in terms of how the restrictions get gradually lifted. It's looking like the Atlantic bubble will be reestablished in early summer. That is phase 3 of the province's plan. Early summer is about the best we can do in terms of putting a date on it. And right now, opening to the rest of the country, if you look at the plan and their 2 to 4 week increments for each phase, that could be anywhere from July 14th to September 22nd. So we're not quite sure, but it's likely, I think, to fall based on some things Dr. Strang has said into some point in August. And overall, what that looks like is another challenging year for our tourism industry, which is going to be very difficult. And we've been one of the signatories on a letter that just went to the Premier that speaks to some of these challenges and asking for a little bit more clarity in their opening plan and setting some dates that the industry and visitors can plan against. But looking ahead to 2022, hopefully that's where we're going to see things turn around in tourism. We're going to see the resumption of events, for example, and U.S. and international visitors. So hopefully in 2022, that's seen to the right there of Granville Green, where there's all kinds of people gathering. Hopefully that will be possible next year. So, and that's it for my presentation. And thanks again. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks so much, Terry, for your presentation. And certainly, if there's anything that we as a council can do to assist Destination Cape Breton with regard to having, I guess, clearer dates to determine a reopening plan, because we all know that tourists, I think that the number is quite high. They like to plan ahead, and with things so up in the air, that could be a lot of lost opportunity for our province and for our islands. So certainly, if there's anything that we can do in the coming weeks to assist, feel free to reach out. We would be happy to do what we can. Certainly, tourism is an important sector for the town of Port Hawkesbury and for our island here. Yeah, we definitely want to rise again before 2030. With that, I'll open up the floor for questions. Maybe Jason, did you have anything you'd like to start with?
Through you, Your Worship. Terry, thank you for the presentation. It seems like everything's in place to move forward. I don't really have many questions. I just want to again thank you for your presentation, your time to come present to us and to the gallery, and look forward to some positive moves forward here in the near future. Thanks again.
Councillor McDougall?
No questions at this time, but thanks for your presentation, Terry, and I hope everything works out for everybody.
Councillor McIver?
Yes, Your Worship, through you. Thank you, Terry, for the presentation. I have no questions at this time, and hopefully we'll pull through, and I look forward to 22 when we can really open her up and bring the tour to the island. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McIver. Deputy Mayor McCrory.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to Terry. Terry, I just have a couple of questions. Thank you for the presentation. Tourism is absolutely vital to Cape Breton Island, as we all know. I see where the Tourism Industry Association of Canada has reported a 35% loss of revenue in the past year within the tourism industry, and the loss of close to 500,000 job positions. How has the impact of COVID happened here on the island? How much loss of revenue have the operators seen here, and how many jobs do you estimate we've lost?
We don't actually have those figures, and that's one thing actually that we address in our 2030 strategy, is that we need better data here, and so we're looking at that. But I can tell you that it's looking like at this point we haven't lost very many operators, but there are a number that right now are just hanging on by their fingernails. So the key is going to be opening up to the rest of the country as soon as we possibly can, and as soon as it's safe to do so. And in terms of jobs, you know, we had in terms of room nights, we were down 54% last year, which is significant, but it was a really moving target in terms of different types of businesses. So, for example, some hotels and larger accommodations, some of them were down more like 80 to 90%. There's a transportation provider here in Sydney that says he was down about 97%. Well, there were some smaller accommodations that actually fared okay, like some cottages and cabins and glamping facilities. And some restaurants did okay, and some really struggled. So there was a real mix in terms of what the picture is, but overall, in a normal tourism year, almost 80% of our visitors come from outside of Atlantic Canada. So while the Atlantic bubble was certainly a help, and the industry would take anything it could get last year, it's not the answer. The people coming from outside Atlantic Canada stay longer, and they spend more as well. So it's been a significantly challenging year, and what we really need is to get those cash registers ringing again. So I wish I had better numbers for you, Deputy, but that's about the best I can do. It's more anecdotal at this point.
Sure, no, that's fine. Thank you, Terry. Just curious if you might comment on what your thoughts are about the support, the financial support the province has made available to the smaller tourism operators. Is it sufficient?
It depends what operator you talk to. Again, it's I think there's been probably far more federal support. There has been some provincial support. I think all operators have taken advantage of what they were able to take advantage of, and as I said, like, the real thing for us is getting open again and getting those cash registers ringing. What the support allowed many operators to do was to survive. So I guess that's what it was designed to do. However, there are gaps. For example, newer operators, any operators that opened in late 2019 up to now, they've really struggled because they couldn't demonstrate the loss because they didn't have the financial track record to show that. And as a result, they didn't qualify for many of the programs that were out there. The province just changed one of their programs that would be more flexible for newer operators, but the federal government has yet to do that. So there are a number of newer operators that we're very concerned about right now. And as well, there's some pockets. So smaller operators like bed and breakfasts have really struggled, and as well some family run businesses where they weren't able to. If you hire people in your own family, you weren't eligible for the wage subsidy, for example. So there are some pockets of that where operators weren't able to get support. So I would say for the majority, the support was adequate, not ideal, but there are those cases where people just didn't qualify.
Your worship, if you just allow me, I've just got two more questions for Terry. Terry, you mentioned about looking at being involved, Destination Cape Breton being involved with looking at making improvements to the entrance to the island at Port Hastings. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, a number of partners working in collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
we're just one of the partners.
So is Destination Cape Breton talking to TIR now in terms of the plan that they've put together for the new rotary in Port Hastings?
Yeah, absolutely. So the group of partners, which would include the mayor and the wardens of Inverness and Richmond County, Cape Breton Partnership, Tourism Nova Scotia, and Nova Scotia Transportation. I can't remember if I'm missing anyone, but I might be. But all of us were on a call with the transportation last week and got a really good overview of what their plans are and discussed how enhancements might fit in with their plans. So the next step is looking at scoping a project to develop a plan in terms of what a reimagining could look like. And so there are a number of the partners that are going to, I think, come together to fund that consultant project. That will be the next step.
Louisburg, Fortress of Louisburg. The numbers of people that visit, the visitors there prior to last year, had there been an increase for the previous number of years, or has it been pretty steady?
In 2017, with Canada 150 and free admission, they had a good increase that year. But you can't really count on that one. But in 2018 and 2019, there were declines. 2018 declined over 2016. And so it's a concern. That's actually something that's been highlighted in our strategy as well. Parks Canada did some work to look at that concern. And there's actually a new project that's being looked at that hopefully could come to fruition that would breathe new life into the experience at Louisburg.
Now that's good to know, because that's a fantastic attraction that we have, and I just have the sense that it's not promoted as much as it should be. The last comment I'm going to make is you must be very excited about the development of Cape Smoky. $100 million investment going to take place there over the next couple of years, and I understand the first part of the project is scheduled to open the 1st of July with some additional work going on throughout the rest of the summer. But my gosh, I mean, that's just an unbelievable amount of investment in a tourism project, not just for the island, but anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be for that part of the island. It's going to be huge, but for the whole island, we're certainly looking forward to working closely with them. We've already been working quite closely with them, but going forward, working in terms of winter tourism, and then in terms of promoting their tree walk. But they're looking at a mountain bike park as well there. And a number of other things. They have a fair bit of waterfront property as well that they're looking to develop. So So they've got some very exciting plans, and it's going to be, well, it's going to be the biggest thing I think since Cabot up in Inverness. So it's going to have a huge positive impact on our industry for sure.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Terry, I guess if we could leave the conversation on, I guess that's certainly some positive developments that are occurring on our island. We're also in the process of drafting and completing, we hope in the next couple of weeks and months, waterfront development strategy for the town of Port Hawkesbury. So perhaps in the future there could be some more opportunities to collaborate with Destination Cape Breton, particularly around maybe developing our marina or looking at, you know, how we can create a new experience at our Port Hawkesbury waterfront and really build on that destination piece. Actually, Councillor McIver is our champion for the waterfront. Mark, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, you pretty much said it, and hopefully we maybe can get together for ideas. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, I understand the hope is that there's going to be a new restaurant and cafe down there, and going along with some existing developments. So that's exciting to hear. And one of the things, just so council is aware, we have it already slated on our list where we did some shooting in the town. I think there might have been a little bit last year and the year before, but we're going to come back in a bigger way. That's our hope for this year, just to refresh our inventory of photography and video of the town. So next time I come back, I will have some new photos to show you all.
That's fantastic news, and we have some pretty cool ideas percolating for the waterfront, and we won't give any of it away at this point, but I think it's there'll be some artistic additions down there. So hopefully you'll be back filming more than once. Thank you so much, Terry, for your presentation, and as well, the invitation still stands. If there's anything we can do as a council to assist in the coming weeks with regard to the reopening plan, just contact us and we'd be happy to do what we can.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you all. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, so our next item on our agenda is acknowledgements. So I do have a few acknowledgements that I would like to observe, and then I will open up the floor for some other acknowledgements that council would like to contribute as well. The first acknowledgement I have is National Accessibility Week is being observed in Canada. So May 30th to June 5th, 2020, this year. And this is to celebrate the valuable contribution of Canadians with disabilities, the accomplishments of individuals, communities, and workplaces to remove barriers to accessibility and inclusion, and the ongoing work we all have to do to counter discrimination against persons with disabilities and to promote a culture of inclusion. And with that, I'd like to also extend a special thank you to the members of our Accessibility Committee who are rolling up their sleeves to help create an accessibility plan for our town so that we can accommodate people of all abilities. This month, we also acknowledge that it is Pride Month. So June is Pride Month and is celebrated locally, nationally, regionally. It's a time to show respect, learn more about, and also learn how to be allies for persons from our LGBTQ plus Two-Spirit community. Pride Month embodies the principle of inclusivity, which is key to success in everything we do. This year, despite COVID-19, we are still participating in some safe and respectful ways that we are celebrating Pride in individual and collective ways. A special thank you to Taylor Linloff, who has dedicated her time this year to planning. Taylor will assist in raising the Pride flag to half-mast tomorrow afternoon. June 15th also of this month marks Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Unfortunately, abuse levels have increased during the pandemic and during lockdowns. Provincial seniors safety programs have emboldened masks with logos, and they're embarking on a social media campaign to raise awareness of this issue and to support support programs for victims of elder abuse. I will be participating locally as well to help bring awareness to this issue, and I invite council to do the same. Lastly, I'd like to formally acknowledge the 215 Indigenous children that were found in a mass grave as well in Kamloops, British Columbia. And I would ask that council observes a minute of silence for this tragedy that certainly has garnered national attention. But before we observe this silence, I want to thank council for committing to lowering our flags to half-mast for 9 days, which honors the memories of 215 children for 215 hours. I also want to thank Bryson Syllaboy and Chief Annie Bernard Daisley for their guidance and leadership in the acknowledgement of this national tragedy and how we can be better allies in truth and reconciliation. So with that, I would ask for council to observe a 30-second moment of silence. Thank you. Is there any other acknowledgements for this evening? Councillor Coyne?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to acknowledge Public Works employee Bud Williams. His father, James Albert Williams, passed away yesterday. So we'd like to send condolences to the family and let them know that if there's anything we can do, we're here to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other acknowledgements this evening from council? Okay, so hearing no other acknowledgements, we're going to move on to approval of our council minutes. So first, we'll begin with our public meeting of May 4th, 2021. I would ask if there are any errors or omissions. Hearing none, we'll move to our special public meeting of May 18th, 2021. I would call for any errors or omissions. Hearing none, we will move on to agenda item number 7, which is business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising at this time that council would like to discuss? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to council committee report.
For Your Worship, yep. From the committee of the whole meeting from the 18th, the item regarding the pool. I'm just curious, has there been any start to conversations with Richmond municipality and the municipality of Inverness?
Okay, thank you for your question. We'll hand things over to Terry. Any updates, Terry, on that?
Yeah, no, through you, Your Worship. We don't have, there has been conversations between staff, but we haven't finalized the letter, so the letter should be finalized by end week. Excuse me, and sent out to council for review.
Thank you.
Any other business arising? Okay, so council committee reports. Terry?
Yes, Your Worship. If you remember, we had our special meeting and we dealt with a number of motions coming from Committee of the Whole at a special meeting of Council. There was one motion that wasn't approved through a special meeting, and that's the following motion for consideration. And that's that the town of Port Hawkesbury approves the Eastern District Planning Commission staff appointments as presented at the May 18th Committee of Whole meeting.
Thank you, Terry. What is the wishes of council?
I'd make the motion, Your Worship.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion that's on the floor?
Question?
You ready? Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Is there any other motions coming out of our Committee of the Whole, Terry?
No, Your Worship.
Okay, with that, then we'll move on to our Committee of the Whole minutes of May 18th, 2021. I would ask if there are any errors or omissions with regard to those meeting minutes. If there are no errors, I would ask for a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole minutes.
Motion moved.
Okay,
Seconded.
the motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the minutes are approved. I know we did deal with one item under business arising from our Committee of the Whole minutes, but was there any other business arising from those minutes that council would like to discuss at this time? Okay. So under agenda item number 9, motions coming from in camera. We do not have any motions that are coming from our in-camera session that we held prior to this public meeting. We don't have any items under correspondence. For proclamations and resolutions, we do have one PCAP application. Terry, do you have the?
Yes, Your Worship. So we'd like council to consider, and we've discussed this with council, I believe, previously, but we would like council to consider the following resolution. And that whereas the Department of Municipal Affairs opened applications on May 21st, 2021 for the Provincial Capital Assistance Program, be it therefore resolved that the town of Port Hawkesbury approves the submission of one application to the Provincial Capital Assistance Program for the Water Treatment Plant MCC Removal Project. So just to clarify that, we've talked about this project a number of times. I just didn't quite notice that, but I think it really should read, so it's process controls upgrade. So we have what's called an older, MCC stands for Motor Control Center. We have an older motor control center that's redundant. That has to be taken out, and there's some supplementary digital controls that have to be installed, and electrical work that goes along with that. This is a long-standing project, outstanding project, and it fits well within the PCAP funding program. So we ask council for consideration of this resolution.
Thank you, Terry. What's the wishes of council with regard to this staff recommendation for a resolution?
I would move the resolution, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McDougall. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Aucoin. Is there any discussion with regard to this resolution? If not, you can call the question.
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the resolution is adopted. Terry?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So under other business, we just have one item, which is a review of council expenses. There's not a whole lot to review from when I reviewed my council agenda package. So if anybody has any questions on that large amount, you can just let us know. Under approved additions, we do have one item, which is a potential addition to the Accessibility Committee. So I will hand things over to Jason just to introduce that. Jason, if you will.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was contacted by John F. Kennedy, a resident of Port Hawkesbury, who has a child with different ability, and he would be interested in joining the Accessibility Committee. So I'm asking council to consider approving John for the committee.
Okay, so Councillor McDougall and Councillor McQuarrie are both on our Accessibility Committee. If one of you would like to consider moving that motion.
I move it, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McDougall. Do we have a seconder?
Second it.
Okay, seconded by Deputy Mayor McQuarrie. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. We'll have Melissa send off, I guess, a confirmation of his appointment, and we'll add him to our email list for the committee. Thank you, Jason. Okay, we'll move on now to future meetings. We have our next committee of the whole coming the third Tuesday of this month, which falls on June 15th, followed by our next public meeting, which will occur in September. So I guess, Terry, I think typically we do need to make a motion to have a recess from our public meetings in the summer. Is that something that we'll need to do today?
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Worship. We did miss that. So we would appreciate consideration of a motion to recess committee and public meetings and committee of whole meetings for the month of July and August. And special meetings of council will be held as required.
Perfect. So is someone from council willing to make a motion to that effect?
I would move, Your Worship.
Okay, that was Councillor McIver.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Okay, seconded by Councillor Coyne. So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on that motion? There
Question.
is none. You can call the question. So the question has been called by Councillor McDougall. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sorry,
Aye.
Your Worship, I did have a question.
Okay,
So the motion is to postpone or adjourn committee meetings as well as committee of the whole and the public meetings for the month of July and August. Is that correct?
it's just for our public meeting and our committee of the whole, our regularly scheduled first Tuesday and third Tuesday public meetings.
Because I thought Terry had mentioned committee meetings as well.
Just committee of the whole.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So we'll go back to the question that was called by Councillor McDougall. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. So just to reiterate what Terry had mentioned, if for some reason we do need to deal with any item throughout the summer, we will do so by means of a special public meeting. Okay, so with that, we will open up the floor if there are any questions coming from the gallery. Hi. So if you have a question, you can just turn your camera on and unmute. Do we have someone from the gallery wanting to ask a question?
I think that's on a phone call, Your Worship.
It might have just been somebody unmuting. Okay, so I'll just give it another couple of seconds if anybody has any questions coming from the gallery. Okay, so hearing none this evening, I would ask council for a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Contrary minded? Okay, and if for some reason, if there is somebody in the gallery that did want to ask a question, feel free to get a hold of me at any point. Sorry if you were having trouble being able to ask your question, if that's the case. And thank you, everyone, for your time this evening.
Have a good evening, folks.
Stay safe.
And I'll be staying on with media if you have questions.